In previous episodes, we've talked about the importance of some things that you need to do to build community in your school, particularly with the adults in your community. The focus of this episode is on communication. Most people know that's a huge part of having things work well. We talked in a previous episode about being in a place where we asked the adults what was going on, asking about what was going on, what's good, what's up, and what's needed. I would encourage you to keep that going, and I'm going to give you 3 guidelines for good communication, 2 do's and a don't. The do's are to be respectful and to be responsive, and the don't is to not be reactive or defensive. Instead, be proactive. If you don't want a don't, then that's the way that you can turn it into a do. I have seen in a lot of communities where a lack of responsiveness, even when there was tremendous caring, tremendous respect, has created huge problems. Not necessarily in Montessori communities and other work communities. And so I would encourage you that to understand that one of the ways we show respect to people is by responding to them. Responding to their emails, to their phone communications, to their indication that there's a concern there. Now, I don't want you to think you should be available 24/7 to your parents of your students, or if you're an administrator, to your staff. I think you need to set clear boundaries. I think you need to explain to people how to communicate with you, especially when I've been a classroom lead. I typically let my parents know that obviously I don't answer the phone during the day because I'm with the students the whole time. And so emailing and by email then setting up a time to speak on the phone after the children are gone, or to set up a meeting, is the best way to communicate with me. And I would encourage you that no matter what you do, respond. If a parent emails you, respond. If a parent calls you, respond. If a parent leaves a message, respond. If a student says, my mother's concerned about such and such, respond. If you do that, if you keep that line of communication open, and if you are proactive in reaching out and finding out what the concerns are, more often than not, that is going to keep problems from becoming large. Now, the don't that I mentioned is not to be reactive and not to be defensive. I would suggest that whatever is brought up to you, that you accept it with the idea, the intention behind it is one that you share. Because usually it is. If a parent says they don't have any homework, they're not learning anything, well, is the intention to complain about the homework? Is the intention to criticize you? No. The intention is, I want to make sure they're learning something. So, of course, you have to address the specific thing that's brought up, how the homework works or the lack of homework works, but make sure that even before you do that, you come from a place of, we both want your child to learn. So we're going to find out where that shared concern is and then help that parent to understand how that's happening. And sometimes, even if you feel absolutely confident that not having homework is a good thing, you may need to look at the idea that, maybe the child of that particular parent isn't learning as much as that child could if you were doing a little bit more in the way that you believe, not by giving homework, not by, responding with a knee-jerk reaction to feeling criticized or to a request that you think is inappropriate, but by looking at your own behavior and saying, we both want this child to learn. What needs to change to have that happen? Or what's going on that the parent just doesn't realize? And that may very well be the case. But I would encourage you, as you start building relationships this school year, that you prioritize communication. Speaking with respect, respecting the intent behind everything that's brought up by a staff member, by a parent, by a peer. Invite that communication. If you do that, it will feel like it's more work at first for most people. But I will promise you, it will save you time in the long run, and it will bring to you support, a reaching out of your parents, wanting to make this experience that they now are understanding more and more better, wanting to cut laminated materials, wanting to do things to support this new way of educating their children. But for that to happen, the communication has to take place. Treat everyone with respect when you communicate with them, respond to the intent behind the communication, and be proactive rather than defending your ground or doing things that are going to put people off. You and the other members of your community do have shared aspirations. The well-being of the child is almost always the aspiration that you share. Focus on that and find the solutions with the good communication.